Greetings and salutations, fellow lightsaber aficionados. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. Most of the stuff you need to care about is in the little ticker at the bottom of the screen or in the description of our video. But I do want to give a shout out to Rob, a guy from Ohio, and Jesse Wiak for being cool and supporting us on the Patreon.
So, we're doing tier lists this year because they're a fun little format to talk about stuff we like. And boy howdy, are they a great way to have a podcast. So,
before we do get into this, there is absolutely every possibility that this is going up where one might think an AEW pay-per-view podcast would go up. Scheduling conflicts is basically the long and short of it. Also, man, I accidentally read like the AEW schedule for like fucking France or something. I thought it started at 4 p.m. We basically made different plans.
Because we figured we'd have to watch it the next day because we just didn't have time. Turns out, no, that's not true.
It also said it was like 6 hours long, and I'm like, Jesus.
Do I even want to watch this? But yeah, no, it turns out it's a normal time frame. We're going to watch it tomorrow. We made other plans. So we're getting a podcast in tonight. This is being recorded as AEW Revolution 22, I believe is the thing, is actually going on. To date the podcast very severely. But we got other shit to do, so we're going to watch it tomorrow and then probably podcast on it.
Yep. So you'll have that soon. Or maybe everything works out and we end up podcasting on it, and you won't have this until next week. And you're like, I thought the AW podcast came out. You know what? If you're confused about the timeline of our podcasts, comment.
Yeah.
To explain your confusion to us, I will listen.
Yeah.
I'm listening. But, yeah, so we decided to do a Star Wars one, similar to the MCU one. It's all of the visual Star Wars fiction.
Material, yeah.
We kind of talked about this a year and change ago in our big Star Wars rewatch podcast. But
it was, more general overview of what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much in the way of, ranking the movies against one another, especially not with all the supplemental material, and that's what the point of a tier list is, to superficially rank things in letter grade order for people to bitch about.
I feel like this one's going to be, a lot of contention, because, our differing opinions on some things.
Does it rank the Clone Wars seasons separately? Are those all listed separately?
It looks like it. I don't fucking know.
We're going to be putting those together. Because I've only seen bits and pieces from the Clone Wars. And I think you've seen even less.
Oh, yes. I don't clone care.
But
where should we start?
Pick one at random. Going in order seems...
Let's just go in the order they listed them. What the fuck is this?
I can't really tell what that is.
Star Wars Basinger? Resistance, maybe? I don't know what the fuck this is.
That feels like it's probably the sequel to Rebels. I haven't seen that.
Mandalorian.
S tier.
S tier is best tier. Thank you for the descriptor. Tier list maker person.
Yeah, S tier best. That's not disputable.
No. What about Bearded Obi-Wan Dark Jedi Season of the Clone Wars?
So, here's where we have to make a decision on how much we want to parse stuff. Because you and I haven't seen most of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I have seen all of Season 1, most of Season 2, and selected episodes from the rest of the series. Because there'll be a premise that sounded interesting to me, so I went and watched that.
I've seen a couple of episodes at random.
But it is a big chunk of this list, so...
I don't know how to differentiate these posters, especially because these two are literally I guess not, but they're almost the same.
They're almost exactly the same, and the season moniker is not easy to tell. I say we stuff all of them except one in the haven't seen it box.
Okay.
And then whichever one we feel like using is the Clone Wars stand-in, whichever one has the best icon for the Clone Wars.
I think that one's got good cover art.
We placed that one in the rest of the list.
How much of this shit is Clone Wars? My God, Chewbacca.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay.
So this one's one we're using.
Yeah, I would say it's okay. It's a kid's show, but it's a well-made one.
Same. I have no interest in watching it, but it would be hard for me to say that it's not good.
Yeah, especially, the later seasons especially get real good from what I've seen of them. But, it's a kid's show. I can't watch the whole thing.
Oh, we've got Mandalorian season 2 here. As
well. Oh yeah, it's right up in S tier. Yeah.
All right. Someday I might have to watch the Clone Wars, and I don't like that.
It's a lot of Star Wars content, and it is well made for what it is. It's just there are shows that have children as audiences that aren't kid shows. This isn't one. It gets to be one. Like the last few seasons, as I understand it, are much more nuanced and adult in how they approach things. But like, I watched the first season and I don't have the patience in my life for that sort of thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is kids shows in general. I've had this problem with Avatar, and there are other shows I've watched that I liked a lot, like the Dragon Prince and to a lesser extent Owl House. Owl House suffers from this a lot, but I watched the first season, maybe a couple episodes of the second season. It's just like there's certain things with continuity, and you spend an episode for a character learning a lesson, and then the next episode, because it's more convenient for the script, they have already forgotten that lesson.
And I mean, it's in a way it's true to life. Usually, the characters who are doing that are kids, and kids don't always learn the first time you tell them, or the second, or the 25th.
Sure.
But it's not terribly fun to watch.
No, it's not. Like, I saw a meme earlier today that was like, hey, if you're neurodivergent and you watch children's cartoon shows so you don't have to think that hard while enjoying entertainment, I get that. I'm such a fan of continuity, and
I end up watching a lot of entertainment designed for younger people and absorbing a lot of entertainment designed for younger people because I just don't like cynicism and shitty assholes in my entertainment, and there's a lot less of that.
Sure, I will agree with that. I also know, as I've said in the Boba Fett podcast, I'm never going to have the experience that the people who grew up with this show did.
You can't go back in time and watch the Clone Wars when you were a child. That's not how the space-time continuum works.
Right.
In a lot of different ways. So you're never going to have the nostalgia. There's a lot of people who love the prequel movies a lot more than we do because those were their Star Wars movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's not invalid. It's just not something we can relate to because we literally cannot do that. That's not how time works.
Found another Clone Wars.
Although, to be absolutely fair, timeline-wise, if my parents hadn't been huge Star Wars fans, those would be my Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I was 11 when the Phantom Menace came out.
You know what? That's true. I forgot about that. And that we discussed this when we talked about Book of Boba Fett, which is another podcast we did that you can go look at for more in-depth thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but, you not having the gulf of even someone who was born in the mid-'80s like me, expanded universe content to think about Boba Fett made a big difference in your ability to enjoy the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, because, I watched the original trilogy when I was a very small child because my parents were huge fans. But Boba Fett was just a cool guy. He didn't have expanded universe story that I ever knew, and then, he did, it was an Attack of the Clones. What I know about Boba Fett is he's Jango Fett's kid, and that's all. And they delivered on that.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and rank Book of Boba Fett.
Right in C tier where it belongs.
Yeah, I
had a fine time with this show, but it is a firm C.
It isn't poorly made enough for me to say it's not good, but it sure as fuck wasn't for me.
No, it was definitely not for you. I think we've nailed it. This was a show about a Boba Fett show for the generation who grew up with the prequels, with Jango Fett.
Yeah.
It had the Sonic bomb and
people who are nostalgic enough that
it being the armor is enough.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. We have some more series here, but I'd like to get into before we get into the movies, and I think a lot of this is Rebels. several seasons of Rebels. Have you seen any Star Wars Rebels?
I have seen some Star Wars Rebels. I have not seen one complete season. There are like 3 amazing fucking S-tier scenes that I have seen from Star Wars Rebels. Mostly, unfortunately for you, centering around Darth Vader's relationship with Ahsoka. Or Ashoka, excuse me.
I mean, yeah. Woo.
Actually, I don't remember. But, like, and they're really fucking good, and they tell a really interesting story. And Rebels, interestingly, has opened the door for the sequel movies to not be in continuity.
Right. I remember hearing about that.
And I want to walk through that door and live in that space. So...
Do you think you've seen enough of Rebels to rank it? I
absolutely have not.
Half an episode.
The art, unfortunately, Clone Wars art style is very stylized. It's not for everyone, but I don't hate it. Rebels is fucking ugly. So...
I think they both look like... I mean, for what it is, it's good art, but I feel like the direction in the first place is kind of shitty. I'm going to put it under haven't watched.
Yeah,
it seems fine.
It seems, I have not seen enough to judge the show. I've seen barely anything about the Rebels.
There we go.
But Tarkin's in it, so it can't be that bad.
What's his name, too, isn't he? The blue dude?
Yeah. Also.
Here's another Resistance. Let's put that over here with the first Resistance, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that just brings us down to, what is Visions?
Visions is a new show. I believe it's on Disney+. It is an animated Star Wars show that is like an anthology series.
Okay, sort of like,
Star Trek... There was a Star Trek one, also.
Oh, okay.
That was the same premise, I think, is like an anthology series. I don't know much about the Star Trek one, but I believe that's what Visions is about. Telling just varied stories from across the Star Wars universe.
Like What If, but canon.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen that?
Not at all. I barely know about it. That
Me
might be an incorrect premise.
And neither of us have seen The Bad Batch, right?
No, I've seen a couple scenes from The Bad Batch, mostly centering around the way they tie around Order 66 into the Clone Wars series continuity. Okay. They did some shot-for-shot remakes of Revenge of the Sith that look real good, actually.
Interesting. All right, so we're left with the actual movies now. I feel like we're going to put these up there and then maybe move some bad boys around.
All right, so I think doing these in movie order isn't the right call. I think doing these in the letter grade order and then seeing where we sit might be best. Is there anything on this list that belongs in scruffy-looking nerf herder ass F tier? It's right in the middle after...
This guy? No, this guy.
That's the guy. That's
is
the
it?
bitch. Yeah, the other one is Force Awakens.
Okay. That's the one. Get the fuck out of here.
I asked to have that happen.
Do you have any disagreements with that?
No.
We talked a lot about...
we made a whole ass podcast about how to fix that fucking movie.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, go watch that shit. Thumb it up. Give comments.
Because it's fixable, but they didn't, so it's bad. It's a bad movie. It's a very bad movie.
It's so fucking stupid.
But...
But this was my kind of concern, I guess, is that I don't know if we'll agree on a lot of the other stuff necessarily.
That's why this is interesting. Because it's not my tier list or yours.
No.
It's ours.
All right.
This is a political horse trading game.
So let's flop back and forth here, all right? I would put Solo at an A. What arguments do you have with that?
I like Solo, but unfortunately, I feel like as good as the performances are, the story leaves a little bit to be desired. It feels very thin to be a Han Solo origin story. And this movie is a victim of its failure, of having to be made twice, doubling the budget, and thus making it financially impossible to have made its money back enough to warrant more movies, because this is a movie begging for like another movie or two,
sure, to
build on its premises and like deliver. However, unfortunately, that doesn't exist and isn't going to. So by that nature, it doesn't stand on its own strong enough for A for me. I would put it at like a B, like a high or a mid B.
All right, okay.
Like, in a world where it got the sequels,
We're
it's
gonna
so
set this
richly
here
deserved.
right now.
Yeah. In a world where it got the sequels, it's so richly deserved. I think this would be A tier, but it feels like an unfinished piece.
I agree with you in like overall broad terms, but I just like the movie for what it is. Like, you're not wrong, and that's what stops it from being S tier for me. Well, and we're comparing it to The Mandalorian, which is
the best fucking Star Wars movie. That's just not debatable, at least for me. Like, you may have other arguments. I'm gonna disagree with them. I'm sorry.
Post them in the comments.
Do so.
We'll argue with you about Star Wars or take your opinions and be like, that's interesting.
We're basically never going to stop talking about Star Wars. It's fucking nerd firmament, so.
All right, so what's a movie you would grade?
I, of course, believe The Empire Strikes Back belongs in A tier. Rewatching has improved my view of Jedi, but...
Has it? That's interesting.
Yeah. Like, we talked about this in the rewatch. Like, my vindication as the Empire Stand was powerful, but the Ewoks weren't as annoying as I remembered. But Empire is the best of the original trilogy by a margin.
Okay.
Now, as an example, if the original trilogy stopped at Empire, it would be B tier. Maybe less. Because, again, it would feel unfinished.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, it would, but, like, I don't think they would have done the movie that way if it didn't.
Right, but, like, as an example to contrast to Solo.
See, I feel like Solo can stand on its own. I feel like we don't need another Solo movie. But that's fine. I'm not really hard into the debate section of this yet. Let's get some
placements and then trade.
I can't have enough of an argument to be like, no, Empire should be lower yet.
But in comparison, maybe? Okay. I'm down for that. Let's go. What's next?
I'm going to suggest The Force Awakens for C tier.
I would put that as a fine. It is a New Hope, but new. It is New Hope. It is the new Coke of New Hopes. C tier is where it belongs.
Okay. I put it ahead of... That's fine. That's fine. Look at all them lightsabers. Okay. Do you have any you'd like to assign a letter grade?
So, all right. I'm going to make a controversial call.
Okay.
Because this is a movie I have bitched long and loud about, but I bitch because I'm fond and because the movie has potential. And your take on this movie has actually, with time, improved my opinion of it substantially.
Okay.
Last Jedi belongs in C tier.
I would put it in... Well, I mean, we got Solo in B tier. See, that's where things get weird.
So, let's place it low B and come back to it.
Okay. All right. I would put, at this point in my life, I think I would put Jedi. That's tough. Because I had a really... all my life I've loved Jedi. Until we did the rewatch, and it just felt interminable. And I know probably a lot of that is that I was sitting there, rewatching scenes I'd memorized.
And also, you're not a child.
Yes. But, like, there's so much iconic shit in there that I have a hard time placing it,
And don't think about Jedi necessarily just as this most recent rewatch.
Right.
Think about the Jedi that exists in your heart. When you watched Return of the Jedi, that's the movie as it's meant to be seen. These are not movies that are meant to be watched dozens of times.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily.
They're pulp movies. They're consumables. They're meant to be eaten and then moved away from.
I would say right now, with willingness to move it to high C, the Jedi would belong in low B.
Okay, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Putting it behind Last Jedi seems fair.
Okay.
It's going to get us killed, but...
come at me in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Just go back, find any of the podcasts where he talks about his take on Luke Skywalker. I swear it makes the movie better.
I don't know if I have, but yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. Y'all want me to talk about Luke Skywalker? Post in the comments. I love the character. Our top 5 lists and stuff have a lot of Luke Skywalker in them. So, all right, that was me. It's your turn.
I think Rogue One probably belongs in like above Last Jedi. I would put it right around Solo.
I would put it there-ish. I like a lot about Rogue One, but the first half of the movie has some issues.
Yeah, agreed. It has some pacing problems. It's a very self-contained story, and it has really great moments, but it's also fucking depressing.
Yeah.
So...
I also don't feel like any of its characters have the kind of presence that they should for only getting one movie.
Yeah, not even the main character. K2SO has the presence he needs.
Yeah, that's about the only one though.
Yeah, K2 delivers. Nobody else. Donnie Yen also.
Yeah, I mean none of them are bad characters, but they're just very.
These are This is an entire movie of Uncle Gunna dies.
Well, it feels a lot less like a movie in the Star Wars pantheon, and a lot more like a movie in the Star Wars genre. Does that make sense? Like if Star Wars were a genre separate from sci-fi,
this and it kind of is
at this point, kind of, yeah. It just doesn't.
It's Phoebe. It's weird. It lives far away and lifts right out.
Sure, but that doesn't stop it from being a very good movie with a lot of compelling emotional cores. I just don't think the characters are very well fleshed out for it being what it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, I'm going to put The Phantom Menace in D tier. Do you have any arguments?
That's fair. Honestly, a little generous. I was a Phantom Menace apologist for many a moon. Then I watched it again. Oopsie doodle, it's terrible.
And this is like a Jar Jar neutral argument because
he's fucking not as much of a problem as you think.
No,
it's the rest of the movie that's a problem.
It's young Anakin.
I watched a very long YouTube essay about how the Phantom Menace and the other, the Clone Wars series and the entire prequel trilogy is great because because of the interminable fucking politics scenes and how it shows the rise of fascism and blah 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 blah. It's a fucking Star Wars movie. Shut up.
The thing is, they're not even very good political scenes.
No, they're ham-fisted.
Yeah, it's not
unrealistic. The Trade Federation is just this side of World War II propaganda. They are so on the nose.
And that's like, I like courtroom drama, and I like the political stuff that happens in Final Fantasy XII or Game of Thrones, and you're like, oh, you shouldn't fucking do that. That has ramifications in this country.
Well-made political drama. Great. The ones in the prequel the political drama in the prequel trilogy, not fucking that.
All right. What would you like to assign?
I think A New Hope is probably something we should get on the board. The one that started it all. Its pacing problems aren't as bad as I remembered from our recent rewatch. But they do still exist. There is a part of that movie that hits the brakes so hard you might get whiplash.
That is true, but I can also say that for The Dark Knight, which is otherwise a phenomenal film.
And thereby, I think A New Hope belongs... Alright, so my brain wants to put it in A tier as, like, a respect thing, but I don't know that that's how I want to approach this.
Yeah.
I want to think about this as a movie, and as a movie, as a film, internet nerds, I don't want no trouble, okay? But as a film, it's worse than Last Jedi. I still think it's in B, but as a movie, as a cinematic sort of tale...
Can I submit something to you?
Then again, Last Jedi did have that whole fucking Casino Planet plotline. Maybe it is still better.
Can I submit something to you?
I'm here for it.
If we added the Biggs Darklighter scenes back into the movie...
A tier.
Absolutely. But they're not in there.
No.
So I would say I'd be willing to bite on this and put it.
Yeah,
here.
you know what? It doesn't have Casino Planet storyline. It gets to be above Last Jedi. I still do have problems with the movie.
And I feel like.
Actually, you know what? It's the same problems I have with fucking Phantom Menace. The Casino Planet storyline is such on-the-nose fucking politics that it jars.
Sure. And I don't think its message is as important as Rogue One. I don't think its cinematography and all that are quite as...
It absolutely doesn't deserve to be above Rogue One or Solo. Those are better movies.
Yeah. Solo is just so much fucking fun. And this, like... Yeah, the one that started it all, it's fantastic. And there's so much there that they pioneered at the time. But
Seinfeld is unfunny. Sometimes
narratively it does struggle in certain places.
And being the pioneer doesn't always mean you're the best. Sometimes someone comes along and puts up a better time. Sorry.
I would be willing to... honestly, like, some of the choices in choreography and that's the take you went with kind of shit.
That throne room fight scene, just... It was fantastic on first watch. When I first watched it, you know, as these movies are meant to be, they're pulp movies. You consume them and then move away. That throne room fight scene looks so cool. And then I watched it again. It's so terrible. It falls apart at the slightest scrutiny.
All right, so we've got 2 left. They are episodes 2 and 3.
2 is better than 1.
Hell yeah.
Like, by a fair margin, so the minimum it's allowed is C tier. And 3, I think you and I both agree, is probably the best prequel movie and not close.
Yeah, it's absolutely really good. In my personal opinion, Solo's still, like, probably my favorite Star Wars movie. Movie, that is to say. So I would struggle to put 3 above Solo. But I might place it above Rogue One. It's more ham-fisted, but it does that ham-fistedness really well.
It feels... It is ham-fisted in the way a Saturday morning cereal should be.
Yes, precisely. It knows what it's about, and it's doing that. It was George Lucas finally hitting his stride of what he wanted from these films. Go a figure when they're, over.
Yeah, this is where the fun begins. I'd say that's fair.
Let's put it right there.
And then Attack of the Clones belongs somewhere in between those 2.
In between which 2?
3 and 1.
Oh,
Sith
3 and 1.
and Phantom Menace. There's a lot of room there.
Wow.
But, like, it's not as good as Revenge of the Sith. If you hear the Xbox making noises because we're doing stuff.
Yeah, it's not your Xbox, listener.
It's ours.
Ultimo Dragon.
We're finally finishing downloading the new WWE game. Ignore the bleeps. I'm not going to go search for the remote.
It's going to keep going. I'm going to mute it. Please talk about episode 2.
All right. So episode 2. It's not as good as Revenge of the Sith because it's the middle. It is, unfortunately, sort of the anti-Empire. It is the middle edition that is not as good as the... better than the first, but not as good as the third. It is part of a rising crescendo. Like Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Sure, I think that's a good assessment. And it doesn't have the fascinating characters and locales that Pirates 2 has that really carry it as being a sort of meh second act.
So I think if we wanted to be very cute about it, 1 in D, 1 in C, 1 in B works. I would put it above Book of Boba Fett. I would put it honestly right there. I think Force Awakens is probably a better movie.
Do you?
It's A New Hope, but new. And A New Hope. That's hard. That is difficult, actually.
You know what? I feel like it tells its... I feel like Force Awakens, as much as I have issues with it...
I mean, me too.
...tells its story better than Episode 2. Because what Episode 2 is trying to show you is that Anakin will never change, and he's horrible, and Padme only chooses to see the good in him. But, like, it doesn't... So many people think that movie is about how they're a great couple and should get together.
Which is baffling to me.
I mean, it's just how everything is framed, you know?
That movie is about what someone who turns into Darth Vader looks like.
So I'm going to say right there, definitely better than Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, it got
All right, so now we got our initial placements done. After looking at this, I honestly can't really fight you on wanting to move Solo up a tier. Just looking at the people he's rubbing shoulders with,
it's just so
that's
much...
not where he belongs. That's not where he belongs.
So much more staunchly exciting and fun, and it's everything I wanted from a Star Wars movie that the sequel trilogy didn't give me.
Yeah, like it belongs in A.
I will put it behind Empire still. That's fine. I will make that concession. I still prefer Solo to Empire, but that's a matter of preference. That's brilliant, but I like this.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to concede that.
All right. Now, I had to make that move because looking at who it was rubbing shoulders with, that was just unfair. Like, that's where Solo belongs. It is a very good movie. It is an unfinished tragedy, but it is still a good movie.
Is there anything else you would have an argument about? Because that was really my only,
quibbling point?
Yeah, as much as we're, making time for each other and going to barrack for our own favorites and whatnot, I mean, we are compromising. So, like, is this my list? No. But between the two of us...
Yeah, it's not really my list either. But, like, as a compromise, as the United Two Nerds podcast tier list, I don't hate this. I don't really have anything that really, like, sticks in my craw about this list. This all seems fine to me.
All right, so as a reminder, just to get Mandalorian back up there so you can see it outside of the not seen, which is just a lot of cartoon series, really.
It's mostly, actually, it's like 2 series.
Right.
But they are the absolute, like, bulk of Star Wars content. The vast majority of Star Wars content is Rebels and the Clone Wars series at this point. And the Bad Batch and, like, the animated universe, as it were, is just the vast, vast majority of Star Wars. And we haven't seen that.
How could we have?
Oh.
Disney Plus, I guess.
Disney Plus. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.